Today on Moviewallas we talk about Longlegs and Twisters. It's time for Moviewallas. Hi, this is Joe.
Hi, it's Rashmi.
And Yazdi as well.
Moviewallas is your weekly dose of film reviews, movie news, and general banter in theatres, on DVD, online streaming, or in the back of an airplane. If you love the movies, this show is for you.
Happy Friday.
Amen to Friday, indeed.
Awesome.
We're waving to the camera. Check us out on YouTube. I should say this at the beginning of every episode. Thank you for reminding me, Yazdi. We are now on YouTube.
Yeah, Joe and I try and ignore the camera. And Yazdi, I love how you speak to the camera.
Well, only when I remember. Hello, people.
He speaks to his people.
Yes. Hello, the 3 people watching us.
Well, that's my point. So we get a lot of downloads, but we haven't had a lot of traction on YouTube yet. So we are on YouTube. YouTube.com/Moviewallas. If you can just go in there and like and subscribe, that would be really good. That's what all YouTubers say. But there's a reason for that. It helps algorithms and it'll help get Moviewallas to a new audience, which is what we are hoping to capture with YouTube. So do check out youtube.com/Moviewallas. I think the last 10 or so podcasts have been there. So let us know what you think of the format as well. All right. We got to hustle.
Yeah.
Because we've got 2 podcasts to record today.
Yep.
4 movies. Longlegs.
And a dinner reservation.
And yes. So what is this place? Chop House?
No, it's called an Italian chop house.
Cardellino's.
That sounds
Cardellino's.
like one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life.
Yes, was in
Italy.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
They do the
Fiorentina.
bistecca. They
Is
do
that
that.
bistecca?
And they do the Fiorentina, that steak. So
Oh, I'm all about that.
I know.
Cardellino sounds like a place which is used as a front for the mafia.
Yes, maybe it is.
Well, they also make good food.
Yes, and they demand good food.
Well, let's find out.
Yes.
I'm excited. So, yes, we have dinner reservations. It's Friday night. And what a nice way
to end the week.
To
I know.
kind of unplug work mode and
I know.
plug in weekend mode.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be here. All right. We are going to do a couple of streaming picks in our usual segment of I can't find anything to watch on video on demand. And this is where we help you navigate the streaming world mess that it is right now with too many services, too much
little
choice, too little time, too hard to find things.
Yeah, it is.
It still is. It still is. We still fall into that trap. Despite all the movies we watch, we're like, ugh. What do we watch tonight?
Yeah.
So, Rashmi, Yazdi,
I am
you got?
super excited about my pick. It is the film on Netflix called Maharaja. Mm-hmm. Now, there are 2 movies on Netflix. One is called Maharaj and one is Maharaja. I am recommending Maharaja. And this was the movie that was the closing movie at IFLA, our great friends at IFLA. And you will not be disappointed. This is directed and written by Nicolas Saminathan, and it stars Vijay Sethupathi, our friend Anurag Kashyap, who we love as a filmmaker, and Mamta Mohandas, amongst many, many others. It is a Tamil movie with subtitles, but please take the time to watch this. This is one of my favorite movies of the year. I kid you not. I am so impressed with this movie. Maharaja on Netflix. And Maharaja means king, by the way.
Yes. Emperor. Big king.
Yes.
And the guy, he's a pretty big Tamil star.
Yes, Tollywood, right?
Big time Tollywood star. And, Anurag Kashyap is an exceptionally accomplished filmmaker and music composer. And actor. So
He's
it's
unrecognizable in this movie. I'm sorry, I should have given you the log line. The log line is a barber loses something precious in a burglary. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Good. And we should say that this was the closing night film at the Los Angeles Indian Film Festival. And unfortunately, because we have day jobs, we had to leave early that Sunday night.
Yes.
It was late on Sunday night. And we would have had to be in LA till 1 o'clock in the night. So we passed on it, but we are glad that you can now watch it on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay, my recommendation is a movie that I cannot believe came out in 2011 because it's so close to my heart. If if I walk but 5 steps to my bookcase, which has, selected movies that I love and adore, I have a DVD of The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh.
And The Adjustment Bureau came out in 2011. It has Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. It's sort of a take on Hitchcock's North by Northwest, in that it's about a seemingly innocent man who just one day, it seems like the whole world is turned on him, and he doesn't understand why, the police want to get to him, the bad guys want to kill him, and there's seemingly this whole nefarious conspiracy, and he kind of befriends the Emily Blunt character with him, and it's just a very clever. I don't know how well it's aged, but I remember watching it twice in the theater. It's visually beautiful. It has like one surprise after another.
Yeah.
It's zippy. It's quick. It's just a fun movie to watch.
Funnily enough, I don't know if it was on TV or I caught it in the back of an aeroplane. It feels like a haze. But within the last 2 years, I've seen it not quite from the beginning, and it did hold up. And I was like, oh, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Is Ed Harris in this one?
Huh?
Ed Harris is in this one?
Ed Harris is in this one. Yeah, it's something
Bad guy,
unusual is going on.
Yeah.
Something strange, but it's lovely. Yeah. Good choice, Yazdi.
Good choice, yeah. Okay. My pick might be...
Jon Stewart is also in it. Carry on.
No. Oh, Jon Stewart.
Yeah, that Jon Stewart.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did acting. Okay. My pick is possibly, according to this Rotten Tomatoes score, the best movie I've ever chosen.
Oh, go on.
Is it 102%?
It's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Go on.
Jim Henson, Idea Man. So it's a documentary about the life and career of Jim Henson. Jim Henson was known to most people in the world as the creator of the Muppets, Sesame Street, the Muppets, and 101 other different puppetry-related things. He is a personal hero of mine.
Yeah.
In growing up, I was a huge fan of the Muppet Show. Huge. I mean, still.
Yes.
I think my Kermit the Frog I had as a kid is still possibly my most prized possession. And the Muppets, The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, all of which were kind of mixed receipt. And of course, Sesame Street, which Rashmi, I know you love Sesame Street. I kind of missed the Sesame Street train.
Yeah.
But this is a documentary about his life. It includes a lot of candid clips of him and his family, and gets behind the man and his career and how he came to be. It's currently streaming on Disney Plus, and like I say, the critics' rating here is 100%. Add me and also I think Rashmi
I
to
love
the
this
list
documentary.
of critics
Great
that
choice.
are giving this a thumbs up because
beautiful. I mean, I had to stop myself from tearing up many, many times, both from a nostalgia perspective and from the perspective of what an amazing man and what he created and the team he created around him, and his family and all those beloved characters. I mean, these are beloved characters. I remember, Joe, we were laughing because we had got, I think it's at Universal Studios or Disney, I can't remember. Is it Universal Studios?
I want to say it was Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Yeah,
the first time we
somewhere
went
there is a
there.
Muppet Show theater that they've recreated. And as soon as I got in there, I started sobbing. And Joe's like, why are you sobbing? I said, because I love the Muppets. And I can't believe I'm sitting in the theater where the Muppet Show was,
a recreation
of the Muppet Show. And you just never think that when you're like an 8, 9, 10-year-old and you love watching that show. So yeah, wonderful documentary. The documentary, beautifully, I have to say, beautifully directed by Ron Howard.
Yes.
The way it's put together is fantastic. It feels like you're going on this enchanted journey just by watching the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, it does put
is
him up on a
fantastic.
pedestal. You know, it's a very deferential documentary. So it feels a little bit like the Mr. Rogers documentary from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
In terms of its feel and tone and warmth and love for the person. But I mean, there was nothing but love for the person. And he wasn't a perfect father. He wasn't a perfect husband. None of these creative geniuses are necessarily perfect people, but he loved what he did, and what he brought to the world was magical. So, recapping, Rashmi, your pick was?
Maharaja on Netflix.
Yazdi?
The Adjustment Bureau on Netflix also.
And mine is Jim Henson, Idea Man. on Disney Plus.
Very good.
All right, let's get cracking.
Yes.
We'll start, I guess, with the first movie of the week, which is Longlegs. So, Rashmi or Yazdi, you're going to tell us about
I
Longlegs?
will introduce that one. So Longlegs is the latest from writer-director Osgood Perkins. And if that kind of rings a bell for you or not, it's because I didn't know this, and our friend Beth Accomando told me this. Osgood Perkins is actually the son of Anthony Perkins, famously from Psycho.
Oh, wow.
So the horror kind of thing. He's been writing and directing a lot of horror movies. So this is the latest from him. And the one-liner for it is, in pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. And I'm not giving anything away, but I will also add that what's unique about this killing spree is that the serial killer seemingly is not present when the killing actually happens in each of those situations. And there's this FBI agent trying to uncover it. The movie is definitely going for a Silence of the Lambs vibe, but we can talk some more. The movie stars Maika Monroe, another horror movie stalwart. She kind of broke onto the scene with the movie It Follows. She was the lead of that.
That's right.
Yeah, and the movie also stars Nicolas Cage, who I should say Nicolas Cage is also a credited executive director of the movie. Blair Underwood is here, as is Alicia Witt and many others. So what did you guys think about Longlegs?
I'm really disappointed. So I don't love horrors, but when I go and actually see a horror in the movie theater, I think I want to be scared. I don't, but I do. And this was couched as one of the most horrific movies of 2024, of recent time, I would say. And it actually wasn't that scary, I thought. And then I think the way it all unraveled was a little bit disappointing. So I think it's got a very confused story. Didn't love this one. I can talk more later. Joe.
It opens brilliantly.
Yeah.
The kind of the prologue of the movie is terrifying.
Yeah.
And it was so terrifying that I thought, I'm not going to be very comfortable sitting here for the next couple of hours. I may have to leave. Luckily, I didn't. And the movie kind of then, backs away from the sheer kind of terrorness of it all to kind of more of a Silence of the Lambs. Criminal police cat and mouse game. But I have to say, I don't think I understood what was actually happening in the end of it all. And so it kind of de-scared itself because of that reason, because it was never fully explained as the phenomena that we got in the movie never really, I think, were fully explained. I think there's a lot of things that it alludes to. And, therein lies what a lot of people may enjoy about the movie. But for me, it was, it frustratingly fell flat, especially in Act 3.
Okay, so our horror movie lover, I say that sarcastically. Yazdi, what did you think of Longlegs?
So I have mixed feelings like you guys. I think I like what the movie is doing. And like you, I think the first half of the movie is top notch. I think the biggest problem with the movie might have been its marketing, because it came with these claims of being, the scariest movie of the year, maybe of the decade, all this stuff. And I think, when you put those kinds of high expectations, then it's never going to meet it. I don't think it's particularly scary. There's almost no jump scares in the movie. But what the movie does very effectively through good technical craftsmanship is dread building. Yeah. Especially in the first half hour. It's building this dread about this serial killer. We never see his face up until the point where you actually do. And then the movie is unable to sustain this wonderful dread building that it has done up to that point. So I think if people really enjoy being not necessarily scared, but just like feeling a little creeped out, I felt plenty creeped out in the first hour of the movie. And like the both of you, I think the movie is trying, it's not really a Shyamalan twist at the end, but it's kind of trying to pull the rug from underneath you. There is a development late in the movie, which is pretty smart, but then the ultimate, I don't have a doubt in terms of what happened, but the ultimate explanation for what was happening was kind of unconvincing to me, because then there was no,
beautifully put.
It's not rational, right? It's just like, and then it was a dream, and that's why it all happened. Not quite that, but the explanation eventually is, I don't want to give it away.
It's more Scooby-Doo than Shyamalan, right? I think that's the problem. It ends up being a little bit Scooby-Doo-ish, which I didn't care for. I mean, I have to say, performances by Maika Monroe, fantastic. She's a great protagonist. I really like that. She carries that innocence really well. And that's very, very good. But Nicolas Cage, again, he looks creepy and scary. But again, I just feel like it's Nicolas Cage in another costume. And I just feel like recently all he's been doing is him in a costume.
But he's great in those roles.
He is, but I just feel like it was a little bit overcooked.
It was more than overcooked.
Yeah, it was
like even his prosthetic, whatever makeup is going on, there was like a weird transgender vibe with him. And I mean, he's always fun, but he was so made up to me when you do finally see the serial killer. And so we're not giving anything away. Nicolas Cage plays the serial killer. I was like, why hire Nicolas Cage? Any other actor behind a prosthetic, face mask could have done it. Although you can tell it's him. So it was kind of like, it was more gimmicky to me than anything else. Yeah.
I think if he hadn't been in all that prosthetic, it would have actually been more frightening.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I think there was something, intended to be like super creepy about it, but and so I think the prosthetic gave us that kind of Silence of the Lambs vibe with and there was something monstrous about that, which again led me to kind of believe more that there was kind of more to what was going on, and we can argue about whether or not there was. I'm trying to remember even the resolution of the movie because I it did kind of peter out. To your point, Yazdi, you said it brilliantly. I think the movie kind of undoes itself towards the end with a few little and they're very small missteps.
Yeah,
they're not huge clanging kind of.
But they leave you feeling very disappointed.
Yeah, because it's leading you on. What really excited me was how can this one person orchestrate these horrible killings while not being present there. And clearly it's him who's doing it. And I was expecting for some really clever explanations, and it did not give me a clever explanation. It did a cop-out explanation.
Exactly.
So that's kind of bothered me. I will again go back to how well the movie is constructed. This is one of those movies where you never see the sunlight. Like everything is either pitch dark or it's cloudy and gray as hell. So it's kind of building this oppressive, dark atmosphere.
And you're always in a closed room with there's a lot of paper.
Clearly. You can't see clearly.
Very like hoarder.
It's
you're in like hoarder territory. Huh?
Right.
Yeah.
And he uses
like that mother's house. I had almost broke out in hives because it was like a hoarder's house. And I was just like, oh my God, what is going on here?
But he uses different aspect ratios, very effective use of music.
Yeah.
So there's all of that, shadows, all of that. But the other thing which undid the movie a little bit is ultimately it kind of falls to the usual horror movie staples, which is stupid people doing stupid things. It's like if you've seen a stranger who might be in your house, why are you going in your basement in the middle of the night? Run out of your house. It's stupid. Have you not seen any horror movies?
Yeah.
So it's people going down staircases in the middle of the night. It's maggots. It's cockroaches.
Murdered in a suburb.
Right.
You run into the house.
You run into the house. Exactly.
Where there's plastic sheeting everywhere. Right.
So call if you're an FBI agent. Call for support. Don't rush in there. There is creepy dolls. So it's all of these things are in there, and the only thing,
all the horror tropes
are there. The only thing missing is an evil clown, but. Maybe the Nicolas Cage character checks that box. Checks that box.
All right, let's wind this one up. Yeah. So, Yazdi, why don't you go first?
Yeah. So I think if people want a good, technically proficiently well-made movie with good acting, a good sense of horror building without cheap, jump scares, I think the movie is is a good time at the cinemas, but like I said before, the end was ultimately unconvincing to me. So 7 out of 10. And I am the scaredy rat here. I was not scared. I slept very well that night.
Yes, Joe.
And sorry, it's coming on the heels of like it's this generation, Silence of the Lambs or Seven. I don't think it can aspire. Yeah, it can't aspire to those at all. Yeah,
Joe.
Yeah, 7 from me as well, and it's a 7 because it was actually a good time at the theatre. I'm not going to make out that I didn't enjoy this. You know, they always ask for comment as we come out, and I had to say that was kind of an effectively creepy movie. So we've bashed on it a little bit, but it's frustrating because I think it's a couple of script rewrites away from being this generation Silence of the Lamb. I mean. It really is a very, very effectively directed first, like you say, half an hour of the movie. I mean, boy, you know, the scene where she's at home, you know, it's absolutely, you know, brilliantly done. So, you know, yeah, 7 should have been a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's a very generous 7.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll knock a point off if you watch it at home.
Okay. I would say creepy, not horror. Scary-ish. I'm excited to see what Maika Monroe does. I think she's a talent to look for, but it's a 6 out of 10 for me. Just didn't deliver on the promise. My expectations were way too high.
Okay. Movie number 2 then.
So our next movie, Yazdi, only you saw this one, and it is Twisters, and it is, I guess, I'm not sure, remind me, is it a remake of the Twister from 1996?
No.
Does it have anything to do with that movie, other than it's about the same topic?
It's set in the same, what is it called, Tornado Alley in the Midwest. Right. It's got similar I guess it is a remake in a way that...
A reboot.
It's kind of almost recreating. Yeah, it's almost recreating the, you know... Paxton and Hunt, kind of
Helen Hunt and Bill
Paxton kind of chemistry from the original movie. But
Okay, so this is very recent. This is a retired tornado chaser and meteorologist is persuaded to return to Oklahoma to work with a new team and new technologies. And it's directed by Lee Isaac Chung. It's written by Mark Smith and Joseph Kosinski and Michael Crichton. That Michael Crichton.
And Joseph Kosinski, who's worked with Tom Cruise on so many movies as a writer. Yeah.
And then it stars Daisy Edgar-Jones, who we were talking about earlier, Yazdi and I, before the show started. She was in Normal People, and she was also in the movie a couple of years ago, which Yazdi's going to find for me.
I'm going to look for you.
Glen Powell and Anthony Ramos. And again, Yazdi, you're the only one of us who saw this. I love Daisy Edgar-Jones in Where the Crawdads Sing. That was the movie that she was
delightful,
in. Yeah. But I loved her in Normal People, which was a mini-series that I recommended some time ago.
It's on Hulu still.
It's still on Hulu. It's great. And it also has...
that was the first time you saw...
yes, I'm going to look him up.
Oh, my God. He's everywhere.
Paul Mescal.
Paul Mescal. And,
an early version of Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar-Jones. It's a great series. Okay, Yazdi, we're not talking about Normal People. We are talking about Twisters. Is this one worth rushing out to see? It's still on at the movies.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you want to have a couple of beers and go out and watch a movie, it does not substantially improve on the original Twister. I've seen the original Twister. It shows up on television all the time, and every time it's on, I just watch it. Right?
I've never watched it.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun. Yeah. So I don't think it improves on it, which is sort of a disappointment because CGI has gotten so much better, you know, since the time the original Twister movie came out. It is a lot of fun because it's, you know, they're recreating the sheer horror of, you know, tornadoes and how you can kind of avoid it. This movie is directed by Lee Isaac Chung. Lee Isaac Chung is a writer. He's a novelist, and he was famous for writing and directing the movie Minari. Remember that movie?
I love that movie.
We love that movie, and it's such a disconnect that a writer-director who made a lovely, sensitive little immigration story or an immigrant growing up is now entrusted with this big tentpole blockbuster by the studios. And you can see parts of his DNA because there's a huge budget. There are big name actors. And because it's 2024, the movie has to have Glen Powell, right? Because, it wants to further the relentless 2024 pursuit of making Glen Powell happen. So there are little pieces which I kind of liked. I have two kind of minor peeves. So I suggest if you have nothing better to do, go watch it. It's kind of a fun time at the movies.
Good family movie, right?
Good family movie. It's good fun. I have two minor peeves. One is that, and they're kind of related, is that I don't think it's necessary, but the movie kind of unnecessarily pits blue state, red state politics into it because
why not?
She's supposed to be this PhD in meteorology, science, and she is very obviously she has all the technical know-how, and she's come to this place to study tornadoes. And in the meanwhile, he is this YouTube kind of video podcaster, and he wears a giant cowboy hat, and ultimately he's the one who prevails, and she's the one who kind of she is to kind of
her with her science,
right?
Has to go with
her science is
him and his instincts.
Correct. So I it's not very overt, but I think I wish it didn't have that. So as somebody, as all of us who are associated with science, it felt like a cheap shot to me. That's number one. And the second thing is Glen. What's his last name?
Powell.
The Glen Powell.
You were almost there.
I was almost there. Howard. A Glen Powell character is such a stereotype initially. It's like cringingly bad. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, he's playing this Midwestern, cocky, I don't know, it was really bad. And then he had to kind of almost grow into his role and become more believable as the movie got in. And eventually he does get into it because I think he's a reasonably good actor. So I didn't care for that. And then the one other thing I will mention about the movie, which is that I don't think most people have seen the original Twister. They certainly have not, unless you're of a certain age. You have certainly not seen it in the theater. Mm-hmm. So there was a great opportunity here to pay homage to the original movie, and there is no homage. I don't know if it was an IP issue, but they are using the same title
and logo.
Well, it's Twister, which was the original,
right,
and this is Twisters.
No, but the logo is written the same way. So
that's
clearly
true.
they've gotten some level of clearance.
Yeah.
So the one thing I remember
That's
from
true.
Twister is the cow flying. Right? And everything flies in the tornado, sheds and homes and movie theaters, and everything is flying, but no cow. I'm like, come on. Why isn't there a cow flying?
There would be animal cruelty, Yazdi.
It could be a CGI cow.
It could be a CGI. But anyway.
At least a chicken. You should at least see a chicken flying in a
And then the other thing is, I was really hoping that they would somehow sneak it. Now, Bill Paxton's dead. May his soul rest in peace. I love Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
But Helen Hunt is still alive. There is a scene which is leading up to the Daisy Edgar-Jones's character's mom, where, she's like, I'm going to take you to meet my mom. I'm going to take you to meet my mom. And then you kind of, the door opens and you don't see the mom and you see her back. And I'm like, oh God,
Helen.
Please let it be Helen Hunt. And it's not. It's like you lost an opportunity,
Maybe she wasn't.
Maybe she wasn't
yeah.
eager to be part of this. But that's
wind
the
it
other
up,
thing.
Yazdi, and score.
7 out of 10. It's a fun time. Actually, the movie starts off really well. Anthony Ramos, who was the lead in Washington Heights, remember that musical movie?
Yeah.
Was it Washington Heights?
Yeah, it was
Something Heights.
Yes,
The Heights.
The Heights.
It was called The Heights.
Yes, The Heights.
Was it just The Heights?
Yeah,
okay, Brooklyn
it was-
Heights?
I'm gonna find it for you, yes.
So he's in it, but the movie begins with this horrific tornado, which does, pretty nasty harm. And the Daisy Edgar-Jones character is part of that. And
In the Heights.
In the Heights.
Yeah, okay.
So it starts off, that opening scene of the movie is just brilliant because I think that scene more than anything else shows the sheer scope of how destructive a tornado can be.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing funny about it or nothing entertaining about it. It's just a destruction machine, right? Yeah. Unlike anything we've seen. So that
As the wind blows through your window.
As the wind blows through my hair.
Yes,
No.
I know.
But I wish, and by the way the movie would have you believe there's a tornado every day. Every day they wake up, they're chasing a new tornado, which I'm sure it's not like that. But anyway.
Maybe certain seasons, and with global warming.
So I wish it had kind of done a better job with the new CGI in terms of further impressing on the audience of the sheer, strength of a tornado, destruction of it. But all things set aside, it's well constructed, it's fun, it's thrilling. The two leads have good chemistry. Yeah, it's a good time. 7 out of 10.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We're done. We have to wrap this one up.
Yes.
Indeed we do. Check us out, moviewallas.com, YouTube as well. Just a reminder, if you did enjoy watching us. So if you're here for the first time, let us know. Please comment on the video here on YouTube. Let us know that you're watching it. We have to wrap up. So until our next podcast, it is too many movies, too little time. A goodbye from me.
And me.
And me as well.